Let's go, Rider Nation.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Get the feeling now. Hit 'em high, hit 'em low. 'Cause we're dealing now. Everybody's giving it all they got. 'Cause we're ready.
We're ready. The Saskatchewan Roughriders weren't ready. Again.
Hey, look, Trevor Harris missed another wide open receiver. Hooray!
And somehow Tom Valesi just screwed the Riders out of more points just now, even though the game's ended. Riders lose 27-25 in Edmonton, a game that the score, I don't know did the score flatter the Riders only losing by 2 points, or did it flatter Edmonton because the Riders missed out on 12
flattered
points.
Tom Valesi. It flattered Tom Valesi. That's who it flattered. He got what he wanted.
I don't care. Well, the Piffles post-game show brought to you by the Regina Thunder, who are actually on the field right now in Saskatoon against the Hilltops. I haven't checked it in a little bit. It was 7-7 after the first quarter. So
17-7 Thunder now.
There we go.
Assuming I can understand Greg's tweets.
I don't care. I care. I don't mind when my team loses. It doesn't bother me like it used to. If they just lose to the better team, if the other team just comes out and beats them like Montreal did, that came in and kicked our ass last game before the bye, I'm fine with that. This one pisses me off. This team coming out after a bye week, getting players healthy, came out flatter than they have been, and they've been pretty damn flat to start games just about the entire season. This was truly awful in the first half. I mean, well, okay, the first drive, or was it technically 2 drives, where Harris threw 2 interceptions on the first drive. They were moving the ball pretty well. But they just, they were doing it to themselves. They got
a couple of first downs. Were they really moving it all that well on that drive? The second drive with the Keyshawn Johnson fumble was much better. Infinitely better. Until Johnson decided to butter up the ball before he went down. That first quarter and a half set the tone for this game. It was just mental errors across the board. Brett Lother couldn't hit the broadside of the barn. We've been over that. A 56-yard field goal, fine. But the problem is you have no faith when he lines up for a kick, even though he's been good for the last 3 weeks. I still had zero faith as he lined up, and he missed his first one, and that set everything about that game just was right there. Oh.
You are, according to our DMs, you are now, talking about Brett Lother here, you are now what I was 7 or 8 weeks ago with Brett Lother.
I'm done.
And yet I'm the one that's going to be defending him here. At least, I mean, he's got the built-in excuse this week with the new holder with Jesse Merkel.
Those holds were perfect.
Yes,
those holds were perfect. If it was a one-off, I'd be fine with it. But we're back to where he was 3 weeks ago. But this time, his points cost us a game. So now we can stop saying, well, he hasn't cost us a game yet. There. We lost by 2. He missed 6.
6 points there. There was another 2 points on the 2-point convert. We're going to get into that. And, of course, the 4 points on that even quicker whistle on the return fumble touchdown, which ended up resulting in a field goal there. But I want to go with the offense here. And let's start in the first half with Trevor Harris. Did he all of a sudden just become an old man? Because I know that going back to, the Banjo Bowl, he wasn't playing all that well in that game. The Montreal game, obviously, nobody played well in that game. But this is a game with Edmonton's defense, who's already missing their best players. Their entire front seven is completely different. Trevor Harris was truly awful. This has been building and building and building. And I've read a lot of comments about it being Mark Mueller's offense and whether he's a true pro offensive coordinator. I think it's Trevor Harris right now. Like, there's no zip on any of his passes. The 2 interceptions were just awful underthrows. He had guys wide open. He missed a Joe on a wide open one where he even got his feet set. The Keyshawn Johnson pass near the end, yeah, he got hit, but still, Trevor Harris should make that throw. This was a bad outing for him, even though the completion percentage was still fine. This was not a good game for him.
Not just not a good game to me. This was his worst game as a Saskatchewan Roughrider. And it was not, he was fine at points throughout the game. And those last couple of drives were what we expect from him. But it was the inconsistency that was a problem. And it was the big key moments where he struggled. And you don't have to look any farther than the last play of the game. That was, whether it was a miscommunication or not, even if he throws that ball, there's a guy right there. A Joe's covered. That was not going to be successful, whether a Joe was running the right route or not.
Yeah, I don't know who that throw was for. There was nobody around it.
Yeah, it looks, at least I'd assume, either one of a Joe or Harris had the wrong route in their head. And I understand it was a quick play and it was a blitz and they didn't have a lot of time, but there was just something off about his throwing most of the game. And on that first drive, you looked at those 2 interceptions and they were 5-10 yards underthrown. They were horrible passes. And then he had a wide open a Joe on a play earlier and missed completely again, 5 to 10 yards underthrown. And that seemed to be a consistent thing. And it's been, like you said, 2 weeks now, even going back to the Banjo Bowl, he has not been the guy that we have been seeing through that first 11 games of the year. Something's not clicking, and it's the wrong time to start struggling.
The only good thing about that first half of football on the offensive side was the quick hitters at the end of the first, or at the end of the half, when they got into field goal range, getting a field goal, surviving a shutout, getting it to 11-3. And I said to you guys in the chat group, that's a huge 3 points, and it really was. It got them kind of going a little bit in the second quarter, going into the second half. But it's too long that this team is taking to get into games, to get the ball moving, to start scoring points. We're seeing this far too often. Something needs to change. I did like a couple things in that first half on offense. I like the idea of AJ Ouellette on a quarterback sneak. If you're not going to bring in Tommy Stevens, I like that. So there was a few wrinkles that I liked, but generally speaking, just offensively, an awful first half. And just to finish off on the Trevor Harris thing for the first half anyway, that late slide, and I know you got thoughts on this too, takes the hit to the head, shoulder, neck area. I personally think that was a late slide. He should have slid sooner. That said, if that happens to Zach Caleros, what do you think happens?
It's a flag. There's a small handful of quarterbacks that will get that call every time. Bo Levi Mitchell's another one who gets that call every time. But Trevor, I don't know if I don't remember the last time I saw Trevor Harris get one of those iffy, is it a roughing the passer, is it not call? And frankly, I don't care if he slid late. That was still a direct shot to the head. The guy led with his helmet. Like, if it wasn't his head, it was going to be his knees.
And that brings me to Tom Valesi, who has shown a very clear bias against the Riders. I'm not saying this is a conspiracy. This is proven fact by Tom Valesi. And you see it when he's calling penalties against the Riders. He's grinning while he does it. He has a big, giant smile on his friggin' face. This guy is everything. You thought you hated Al Bradbury when he was a ref?
Oh, man.
Tom Valesi is the word. I just want consistency from refs. That's all I want. I don't care if the Riders take more penalties because they deserve them. Fine. That I'm fine with that. But when you're missing blatant holds, you're screwing the team out of 6 points on 2 scoring plays, which plays should have kept going. And I got notes on that too. It's just clear that this guy can't be a pro ref. He just doesn't have it. I know it's not all on him. It's the crew. That crew that he has is the worst in the CFL. And I think it was maybe it was Sheldon Jones from 2 and Out podcast was saying he should be getting the hate that Andre Prue gets.
Absolutely. Honestly, he should be getting the hate that I used to have for Al Bradbury. And then some. When you have a ref who quite literally into a microphone says F them in reference to the Riders during a timeout call, you're going to get questions every time he makes a questionable call when he's reffing for that particular team again. It's going to haunt him for the rest of his career, and it should. And when you look at the two, we'll just look at the 2 points plays that they took off the board. I can forgive the 2-point convert. I can say, okay, you know what? Momentum might have been stopped. I would have let the play go on either side, especially with guys rushing from behind to push them forwards. We see that happen time and time again, and the play continues.
Look at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
I know. I get, like I said, I've seen it go positive for other teams. But when you have, I'm still looking at that fumble return touchdown and wondering what the hell that ref was seeing to blow that play dead. When you have a turnover, which makes the play instantly reviewed, no matter what happens on the rest of the play, you need to let that play go. And that changed the entire momentum of the football game. Because if we score there, we're up, 5 points? Potentially 6? Or I guess it was 4 points, potentially 5. We know Brett Lother. Sorry, I really am you from like 7 weeks ago. Jesus.
Yeah.
But not only that, it deflated the team, and you could see it in the next few plays. And then that was the play that Harris missed Keyshawn Johnson when he was wide open to march into the end zone. So those things are momentum affecting. And yes, we took our own points off the board with, I should probably stop mentioning it, but Brett Lother's missed kicks. But when you have refs taking points off the board, you want to talk about changing this game and improving this game and getting people watching this game? Fix reffing first. Inconsistent reffing is the worst thing you can have in a sport, period. And we see it game after game after game in the CFL.
And not to compare CFL and NFL, when the NFL brought in all their instant replay stuff and you can challenge for PI and all that kind of stuff, you saw how badly that went. What did they do? They basically got rid of it completely and got it down to just basic things. And yes, they have their own reffing problems in the NFL. I'm not saying that they're perfect because they're far from it. But that's the problem with the CFL right now. Not the fact that the uprights are hindering touchdowns and we're going to get 60 more touchdowns because we're taking the goalposts and putting them to the back. That's not the problem with the league. The problem is consistent reffing. If every team knows what they're going to get from the refs, fine, you can kind of adjust to it. But nobody knows what the hell is going to happen in any given game in the CFL. And the officials, and bless them for, it's a part-time job. It's not their real full-time jobs and everything. They need proper training. And this is a grassroots thing. Like, this has to come from all the way up. And that said, we're talking about it. I wouldn't want to be a ref. I don't know why anybody would want to be a ref in any sport. And so, I mean, to take all the criticism that they do, good for them for having that thick skin and being able to kind of brush it off, because you have to in that profession, and not saying that it's all their fault. It is a fundamental problem. At least with Canadian football, they need to be fully, properly trained and better. They just have to be better.
Do you know what the CFL can do to make reffing better in the CFL? And you touched on it. Pay them. Make it a full-time gig. They should be making enough money that they do not need a second job. This should be their career. If you want to take the CFL seriously, and we do, we want nothing but the best for this league. We want to see it succeed. But when you see improper reffing, and then a guy goes on, I don't even know what these guys do in their secondary jobs, but they don't think football for the rest of their 40 hours.
Nope.
Their life should be football during the season. A referee should be training for reffing. When they're not on the field, they should be training. And we see none of that in the CFL. They go, they work, they come, they fly out to whatever CFL city they're reffing in that week. They ref their 60-minute football game and they go back home. That's it. So it starts at the top. Pay them properly, and you will see the grassroots improve. Because if there's a career to be made in reffing the CFL, you'll see people do it. But we're nowhere near there, and we'll never see that. We've been harping on reffing since, well, I'm sure since our grandkids were watching the game.
Well, going back to that 2-point convert, a little bit before that, 108-yard drive by the Riders. That was absolutely incredible. I was just happy when AJ got the first run out of the end zone there and got to the 13-yard line. So at least they had room to punt, right? Then another first down, then another first down. Okay, now we're starting to see something. Big run by AJ Ouellette gets him, over 1,000 yards rushing and gets him into the end zone, gets a touchdown. 11-9. The 2-point convert run. I couldn't tell you how many times the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Brady Oliveira gets stopped. Forward momentum is stopped. And then people come and push them. Well, you're not actually supposed to be pushing the ball carrier. That's actually a penalty in football in the CFL. Now, granted, if there's a pile, you can push the pile. I get it. But they push Brady. Come on. It's fine. Let them do it.
Every team does it. Absolutely.
You have to give other teams the same amount of grace that you give another team.
And that comes back to consistency.
And that pissed me off a lot in live time. That was ridiculous. And I know you can't challenge that when the whistle is blown, as we saw in the fumble recovery for a touchdown. When the whistle goes, the play is dead. But when it's something that's that potentially close, or like we saw with the turnover or a scoring play on the 2-point convert, let the play out. And then you can go back and rule, because it is going to be automatically reviewed no matter what, because it's a scoring play, that his forward momentum was stopped. Try is no good. Okay, fine. I can deal with that. But that one really got me. And then, of course, shortly after was that Onyeka one.
And it's funny. The 2-point convert didn't bug me as much. It did at first, and then I kind of went back. I'm like, okay, if you really watch the play at live speed, it looked like he was stopped. Yes, he eventually pushed in, and the consistency is part of the problem. My issue, and I'll harp on it all week, and I'm going to probably spend 30 minutes yelling about it on Tuesday when we record again. My issue is 100% with the Onyeka play and the inability to let that play continue. Because we see that time and time again where they'll let the play go. But I do want to touch on one thing, and I've seen it a bunch on Twitter right after that play happened, people harping on the command center for that play and how it ended up. There is nothing they could do.
No.
The most they could do is give us the ball, and they did that. You will never see a league allow play to continue after a whistle has happened. It just cannot happen. It will never happen. That's
a safety issue. That's a safety issue, yeah. Right?
But the biggest thing to me is if they blew that play dead, and they blew the whistle 6, 7, 8 times, Onyeka got decked in the end zone well after the whistle.
They've never called that ever before.
They should.
They've never done that.
The ref made it clear the play was dead. Who's to say he wasn't just running off to celebrate the fumble? I'm obviously kidding on that, and there's no way they should call that because he was clearly running the score. But I just want consistency. That's it. Yeah. I want to know what's going to be a penalty. I want to know what's going to be automatically reviewed by the command center. I want to know what's going to be roughing the passer on a week-by-week basis, not a play-by-play basis. That's it.
Referees suck. That's basically what we're getting
sucks.
Appreciated, but awful. Kind of like this show.
I don't appreciate him right now. I hope he gets swarmed by a bunch of mosquitoes. I said that on Twitter.
Or Al Bradbury.
I hope he's itchy for like at least a day. And I hope he's miserable.
Yeah. The end of the game. The Tommy Neal touchdown. First off, where was this urgency to begin with? We saw it at the end of the first half. they need to go tempo more often, because when they showed this urgency, they moved the ball consistently and they had some pretty good chunk plays doing it. I'd like to see this, obviously not every drive, but I'd like to see this happen once in a while. Just not when the game's on the line or down to the final 30 seconds of the clock in a half. Let's show some urgency. I'd like to see that out of this offense, because we're not getting any of that. And it's just, anyway, Tommy Neal touchdown. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No, we'll get to it. We're talking the Tommy Neal touchdown first. I'll get to the next drive in a minute.
So the Tommy Neal gets the touchdown, 24-19. I like how there was the debate. Do you kick it on? Do you onside kick it? Do you kick it deep? Of course you kick it deep in that situation.
You kick it deep, especially the way the defense was playing.
Yep. And we'll talk about the defense in a little bit too, because I thought there was some good, some bad in that one. But then that last drive, Keyshawn gets the huge catch down to the Edmonton 16, wide open. If he just runs straight after catching the ball, he scores.
Before we talk on that,
scoring anyway, but
can we talk about the lack of urgency on that drive for the first 30 seconds?
Oh, the short little 3-yard passes.
The little 5-yard dunks with 42 seconds left. We wasted 30 of them going 12 yards. Yes, it worked out, but that's not going to work out like that 9 times out of 10. That made me angry. It was obviously alleviated the moment Tommy Stevens, hopped over the end zone. But Mark Mueller, what are you doing there? I realize they're not going to give you 30, 40-yard plays at a go, but at least put the ball downfield. Go for a PI call. 5 yards is not going to cut it. My God. I realize with Tom Valesi reffing, we're not going to get the PI call. But try it anyways.
I mean, I know that on the second down, you're trying to get the first down, so there's that check down. I get it. Fine. But yeah, push the ball a little bit. Tommy gets the touchdown. People were commenting on it before, and I think I have one up here. Why was Tommy Stevens not on at the end on the 2-point convert? So that 2-point convert, what would you have done there?
I like the Tommy Stevens short yardage package because it effectively makes them protect 2 potential rushes. It's like what we saw with Chris Streveler back in the day, where you had to protect both his run and Andrew Harris or Brady Oliveira, whoever was behind center with him. But in that instance, you have to have Trevor Harris back there. You have to make them respect the possibility of the pass. Otherwise, they're just going to load up 12 people into the box, and because Tommy Stevens is not throwing the ball, unless that is the one time where you use your, little miracle package of him actually throwing. Because they're saving that for some point.
He could have on that last play on the touchdown that he got, because Dante Myers was wide open by himself on the sideline. Edmonton brought everybody to the box.
There was one defender over there. I went back and watched.
Was there?
There was, okay. Yeah, there was a DB down with him, because I saw that first. I'm like, oh my God, Tommy Stevens passing touchdown, and no, he was quite. I've covered as you can be in a 20-yard end zone. I'll miss those. Oh.
But then, of course, the 2-point convert, which we kind of touched on already, just awful. I'm surprised that, and this was something that Darian Durant was excellent at with Chris Getzlaff and Andy Fantuz. Use the goalpost as the extra blocker. Run some slants across it. Like, use the middle of the field there. That is your friend.
You mean a corner route out to the deep end zone with 2 defenders out there isn't your best passing option on a 3-yard play?
With a guy who was awful throwing the ball all game? Nah, probably not.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do want to bring up some good stuff, because there was some good stuff in this game, and most of that. A lot
of good stuff.
The defense. Baldonado started out hot. I thought he had a very solid game. Had a sack, tackle for loss, a big one on Rankin. Although the next play, Rankin got a big play because the refs missed a blatant hold on number 86 Smith, who held CJ
No,
Revis.
somebody on Twitter told me that was just a good block.
Oh, holding him right
No.
like this, holding him and pulling him.
And
That's a good block.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Tom Valesi agrees.
Yeah. Mike Rose getting a sack in his 100th game. He had a pretty solid game as well too. Caleb Sanders. So in the first half, the defense was pretty good. Other than that long Julian Grant catch, Edmonton really got nothing going on offense in the first half. So the defense, they held the team in it in that first half, especially when we're turning the ball over 3 times in the first quarter. So they did pretty well. Second half, some good stuff, but again, the play of the zone defense. Roland Milligan had a breakdown. He chased the short guy when he should have got the deep guy on Edmonton's last touchdown.
Hilaire catch, where they also missed a blatant hold.
Yeah, but it was the one at the end where it was second down. Edmonton's driving, only up 5 before they got the field goal to go up 8. It was the long pass, man coverage too, across the board, and good on. I mean, a lot of people don't like Glenn Suter as an analyst, but good on him for showing that it was man coverage all across the board, and it was Hilaire again. Who? And
welcome to Rider football.
Absolutely dusts Onyeka on just a simple post route, and
on a horribly thrown ball too.
Bless him because he's our third stringer, and thanks to this comment here as well too. The Riders need a safety. Did we think at the beginning of the year how this year was going that we'd miss Nelson Lacombo the way that we have? Jackson Ford was fine. Obviously still learning the game and being a starter before he got hurt. And I like Onyeka on special teams. He wasn't bad in the first couple games, but this was a bad game for him. Just those deep passes, especially that man one. He was lost out there. The Riders, and this isn't just on Onyeka, this is on all of them. They don't have anybody, and we've talked about this on the show. They don't have anybody that scares anybody over the middle of the field.
No.
At all. And I do wonder if that's something that they might consider putting Dalkey in for. Probably not going to happen now, but could it be any worse?
If they were going to put Jaden Dalkey in there at any point, he would be in there already. Because nothing back there has shown anything that the team should be afraid to throw over the middle. You need a guy, and I've said this probably 30 times this season alone, like Konstantinos in Hamilton, who if you go over the middle, you're going to get hit. Make them fear that square, that bubble over the middle. Because in zone defense, you have to fear that space. If you have nothing back there to protect or to worry about, teams are going to eat that space apart. And we see it time after time after time with this team. And yes, I agree. Dalkey would get too many roughing penalties. But you know what? I would take that right now over the 30, 40, 50-yard passes that Onyeka and Ford have been giving up. At least with Nelson Lacombo, you got stability. He wasn't flashy. He was getting better. But you got something that resembled stability back in the defensive backfield. Now you just have open space. And it's a concern going to the last stretch of the season. We should have first place locked up already.
Same old Riders. New year, same team.
Like, how is it generations of this football team managed to have the same problem year after year after year? Calgary is handing the West to us on a silver platter, and we're like, you know what? Let's wait.
No thanks.
We'll hold off. Yeah, we don't really want that. In a year where BC is getting better, Winnipeg is starting to play better. Calgary, well, they suck again, and it's great. I like that very much. But when you've got these teams on their way up, you need that West Final in Saskatchewan. You do not want to be playing a Winnipeg in the West Final if they are on the rise. I don't want to be playing BC in BC if they're on the rise. That's tough. Going to be tough enough at home Although the way Trevor Harris is playing right now, I don't want to play the Ottawa Red Blacks right now. And we play them next week. That's going to be fun. If we lose that game,
Well, and that was going to be the final question that I have for you here. Right, so they lose, drop to 10-4. Are you worried about that? Because it's the first time this season they've lost back-to-back games. And if you look at a lot of comments online, the sky is falling. We're in that rider slide again. I mean, we saw that in 2013, and that turned out okay too. But we've been kind of, this team overachieved in the first half of the year, and now we're starting to see what they're really like. Are you worried? Is that exactly what this team is?
I don't know if I'm worried. What scares me the most is the complete lack of effort or urgency coming out of the gate in every single game. It works in the regular season. You can come from behind in the regular season. We were lucky to be playing Edmonton today because the way that first half went, it should not have been 1-0 at the end of the first quarter.
No.
3 turnovers, you should be down multiple scores. Luckily, our defense was on one for a while. But I am worried about that. I'm worried about the lack of urgency coming out of the gate. You need to score points. You need to get ahead and play from behind so you have the control over your game plan. And we haven't seen that. We've seen a lot of second half adjustments, which is great. I would rather see those because we're winning, not because we need to come from behind. That's the biggest concern. Am I worried about this team yet? No, because we still need to get healthy. And Daniel Johnson probably had his worst game as a rider today. He was getting beat hard on a couple of plays.
Suter brought it up too. He's just getting back into the lineup himself. Yeah. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that.
Yeah.
Hopefully Philippe Gagnon is ready to get going, and maybe he can be starting at guard here going forward.
That would be A-okay by me. Yeah. But you look at the defensive backfield. They need to get healthy. Tavon Campbell, yes. Who would have thought he was the catalyst to that defensive backfield? I remember going in preseason going, is this the guy? Is this what we want? Or do we have a backup plan? And all of a sudden, we need him. He is
a lot of people didn't even think
game breaker back there. Yeah. I was one of them. I'll be honest. I look back and I didn't know that he was going to be the guy. I knew because of how much they paid him that he was going to make the team, but I didn't have any faith that he would be a consistent member of that backfield, given he's been out of football for 2 years. But he is a game-breaking defensive back, and he's the kind of guy that makes those plays in the key moments that we didn't have today. The pick sixes, the turnovers when you really need them, he's that guy. I think that's what the kids say nowadays.
He's him. Do they still say that?
He's
still
him.
Say that?
My teenager says yes, so
okay.
I do believe they do.
What's up, Dylan? I'm with you. I'm not worried yet. Yes, this loss does kind of bother me. But like you said, getting out to an early lead, that's the comments we're getting too. Get out fast. If they come out flat again against Ottawa, of all teams next week, then I might smash that panic button. Right now, not yet. They faced a desperate team in Edmonton who has lost a couple close games on field goals against Hamilton and Toronto over the last couple weeks. They're an okay bad team. And they were playing for
I know you hate this. They're better than their record.
Nope.
I know how you feel about that.
No, they really are a 6-9 team. Yeah, that's about right. They are. They're one of the best 6-9 teams you'll ever see, though.
They've been playing nice football of late.
Yeah, but no, not worried yet. Just get out and score some points. Get some consistency going. Show that urgency. Run some tempo. And just friggin' finish off this first place deal. Vernon Adams is his typical second half Vernon Adams. And every team is trying to help us out, giving us first place, and they're not taking it, which, again, we've been Rider fans for a long time. This is what we're used to.
I have a hypothetical question for you, and BC Lions Den just brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
We go back into the final week of the season. The Riders have the West Final locked up.
Mm-hmm.
Calgary and BC are tied. Who do you want to play in the playoffs? Who do you want to see get that home playoff game? Do you rest guys for that West Final knowing you, or that final week knowing you have that week off?
I think you play the starters for the first half.
We're on the same page.
That bye week, especially with how this team specifically has been coming out of games, coming in to games after bye weeks, they're so flat that you can imagine another week of them not playing. No thanks.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing is we
they
know
play
they're good in the second half.
Unless things get out of hand, then get them out right away.
Yeah.
Whatever. But you can rest a couple guys here or there if they're nursing, little injuries. Maybe those guys you rest, but if they're healthy to go, you play them at least for the first half, and that's it.
I realize we have a long stretch to go before that point, but all of a sudden that first place lockup is not as comfortable as I'd like. We got to play BC and Winnipeg to close out the season.
The good news is we have that tiebreaker against Winnipeg. We have that tiebreaker against BC. Now, if it comes down to a three-way tiebreak between BC and Calgary and us, then we wouldn't get first or something like that. But realistically, still 2 games up, really 1 full game up with on Calgary. But the way Calgary's trending, I expect them to be in the crossover talk. They're playing in BC next week. I think BC is going to smoke them.
I hope so.
All of a sudden, BC is looking them. It's them in Winnipeg, and Winnipeg has the tiebreak over BC. So depends on which Winnipeg team you're going to get. But
do we play before BC next week or after?
We play the first game.
Oh, good. Okay, because every time Calgary loses, we decide to hand one right back to them. So let's not do that again.
Just go and beat Ottawa, who can still get second place in the East. Ironically enough.
Yep.
If they win out and Montreal loses out, because they play Montreal twice. If they win those 2 games, win their other 2 games, Montreal loses their last one. Both teams are 8-10, and Ottawa would get second place. Unless Toronto wins out as well and finishes 8-10, then it's a 3-way tie. Then Montreal gets the second place. So it's absolutely stupid.
The fact that we're 10-4 and haven't locked up a home playoff game yet, and Ottawa can still get a home playoff game with 8 wins, is everything that's wrong. You want to make changes in the CFL? Give me 1 division. Oh, I'm done raging for the night.
I gotta save something for
Tuesday.
1 team on a bye. Give me the top whatever teams.
Yep, absolutely.
Anyway, not too worried about this loss yet. Still upsetting because they should have won, even though they didn't really deserve it. The Riders still should have won that game, but self-inflicted stuff, right? The interceptions, the fumble, missed field goals, refusing to cover receivers when they run deep. They did it to themselves.
All of that is why I'm not panicking yet. They had everything go against them, and they still almost tied it up with, on the last play of the game. So it's not panic time in Rider Nation yet, but it's maybe find the button and get it on your desk. Unless
Tom Valesi's the ref for our next game, then yes, absolutely hit the panic button.
I know Ferland's in town for that one. If I hear that Tom Valesi's the ref, I might see if he's willing to go to jail for us. I'm kidding.
He might, though. We could always ask. But 10-4, like ultimately they're 10-4, well. Right? Like this is still one of the better teams we've ever seen in our lifetime of being fans of this organization, right? So we can't be too upset. Yes, there is definitely some cause for concern everywhere, but just no major injuries coming out of this one that we know of. Didn't look like it a few times before, and we ended up getting guys hurt, but didn't look like anything in this one. So just final 4 games, go out there and just beat Ottawa and just get first place kind of locked up, and we're fine.
It'll be fine. Everything's fine. We're all good.
We'll leave it there. Thanks for joining us here on the live stream. Went a little bit longer than we thought we were going to, but Tom Valesi needed to hear the what for. All right.
I was going to say thanks, Tom Valesi. That's his fault too. I
got 2 awards for him, and he knows what they are. I won't say them because it's a family show.
This is the After Dark show.
I'm not dropping the F-bomb on him. He knows what they are. They're his words. That's my words for him and his crew. Anyway, we'll talk more about this with Greg on the show on Tuesday, and I guess look forward to a game next Friday. Until then,
can't wait.
Have a good night. We'll see you guys later. This has been the Piffles Podcast post-game show brought to you by the Regina Thunder.
Thank you for being such a big supporter and fan of the CFL and myself personally.